Okay, excuse me while I get adjusted here. As I'm sure you can see by the title, this video is my miscarriage story number 2. I'm making this video because it's kind of the only way I felt it was appropriate to share my story. I have a blog, but I don't ever really update on it. I say I'm going to, but I've just haven't gotten the right fit for that yet. And I didn't want to post anything on Facebook because I didn't want to feel like I was asking for sympathy or sharing something that people who are close friends or acquaintances don't really want to be reading on when they're checking their Facebook. You know, I know Facebook is to connect each other, but I didn't want to post something this personal on Facebook. I will post a link on Facebook to this video, but I didn't want to share my story on Facebook because I have a wide range of friends and family members who you know, follow me on Facebook, and I just didn't want to send the wrong message. So I felt the best way to say what I wanted to say without seeming overly dramatic or overly pity party-ish was to make a video and post it on my YouTube channel, and I will put a link on my Facebook to those who have questions, because we told all of our family except for Facebook, but mostly 90% of my Facebook friends knew about this second pregnancy, technically third. And as me and my husband were about to make it Facebook official, I miscarried the baby. I'm trying not to cry because I haven't really cried a lot over this one. Only when I start talking about it in detail does it get emotional for me. But as my first video stated, I had a chemical pregnancy in March, and we found out in April that I was pregnant. And about 5 to 7 days after we found out we were pregnant, I started miscarrying on the day that I should have had my period. My number never went up over 6. Anything 5 or above is pregnant. So 6 is like a fertilized egg that either half implanted or didn't implant, but it was producing enough hormone for me to get a positive pregnancy test. I am Rh negative and Henry is Rh positive blood type, so my blood type builds up antibodies and fights against anything that enters my body, such as a pregnancy. So I have to get a RhoGAM shot after every pregnancy and every miscarriage. So I had a RhoGAM shot to protect my next pregnancy from that kind of miscarriage. On April 18th. On April 20th, my numbers were below 2, which means I was no longer pregnant. I no longer had HCG in my blood system or in my urine. They told me to continue life as normal, and I may not ovulate right away, so we prepared ourselves for that, and we continued our life as normal. And within not even 3 weeks later, I started feeling the same symptoms I had with the last one, the chemical pregnancy, in April. And on Mother's Day, which I believe was like March 12th or something? May 12th, sorry. On May 12th, I took a pregnancy test, and it popped up immediately that I was pregnant. And I didn't really know what to do because I didn't really know how that happened. We were not expecting my body to ovulate so quickly after the miscarriage. And we obviously weren't using any kind of protection. We were not preventing a pregnancy, but because it had taken 7 months to get pregnant with that last miscarriage, I really thought my body wasn't going to ovulate. I thought it was just going to do its thing that it did for the last 7 months. So when we found out we were pregnant, we were so shocked, and we truly believed that this was the reason I had the chemical pregnancy before. We thought this baby was a miracle. I don't want to get emotional, so sorry if I try to like get myself together, gather myself, but this pregnancy was a huge blessing from a very bad experience. You know, when you have a chemical pregnancy, it's almost like an April Fool's joke. And you still have to mourn it like it was a miscarriage, because you were led on for a while, for weeks, and that you were pregnant. So I called my doctor and I said, what do I do? They're like, how did this happen? That's like, you must have ovulated directly after the miscarriage. I was like, I guess I did, because I wasn't using OPKs. I said I was not going to do that anymore. I wasn't going to try to control the situation. Whatever was going to be was going to be. And so that's why we thought this baby was meant to be. And we believed in it from the very beginning. And we told our family at 5 weeks, because if I miscarried again, we would need their support, because that would be a very traumatic thing to happen twice. But we also thought that, and they also believed that this was a huge miracle to happen directly after a miscarriage. So I went and got lab work, and my numbers came back at 18, which is a low number, but I had just found out that I was pregnant. So we figured I was around 3 to 4 weeks. And I went back within 48 hours and had my lab work done again. And my numbers needed to be at least in the 40s, because I was almost at 20. They need to double every 48 hours. And my numbers came back at 50. And so from going to 18 to 50, still low numbers, but it was still showing signs that the baby was progressing and it was healthy and the numbers were doubling and things were good. And the doctor said, you know, don't fear. All your tests are coming back really good. And this is good signs. So go ahead and share with your family if you want. You're still very early pregnant. When they found out my numbers came back at 50 on a Wednesday or Thursday. So they figured I was about 4 weeks exactly. So we started telling our family, and everyone was ecstatic, because they're like, oh my God, how did this happen? And we had questions of, is that healthy? Should you get pregnant right away? Should you have given your body time to heal? And I was like, this happened miraculously. We tried for 7 months for this to happen, and it didn't happen, and all of a sudden it happened within 2 weeks of a miscarriage. We're going to go with it and say that, you know, this is what was meant to be. And I was supposed to go back, not this week, but last week, for more blood work. But they said, you know what? You don't need to. All your labs look so good. We'll schedule your 8 weeks ultrasound, which was for June 12th. And unless you have any bleeding or anything like that, you're fine. You're pregnant. You know, your numbers are doubling. You're doing great. So we were really happy, and I never for a second felt like I was going to miscarry it. I never for a second had a bad gut feeling like I did the last one. I thought the timing was better, because the last one was supposed to be born on Christmas Day, and this one's due date was January 22nd. And we were like, that's, you know, maybe that's better timing. Maybe that's why the last one didn't work out. Who knows? There's so many questions. And we had a lot of visitors come in and out of our house for 2 weeks, and we decided to tell them, because, you know, I don't drink alcohol anyways, but I couldn't partake in alcohol beverages. And when I was having a lot of migraines, and they were wanting to give me, they're like asking if I had taken all of my migraine medicines, which I couldn't take at the time. I could only take Tylenol. And everyone was kind of like, suspicious. So we're like, yeah, we're pregnant. We're so excited. And we're still early. And then everyone came and gone. And I started showing at like 5 weeks. Like, not showing, but like I had a little like bloat. And I had to go get maternity wear, because I had nothing but fitting, none of my pants, none of my anything. And I was like, this is crazy. And my breasts grew an entire cup size in 2 weeks. And so I was like, oh my gosh, this is like not what happened last time. This is great. These are all good signs. And I had like one bout of morning sickness. And then and we told family and friends on Sunday and Monday we had picnics. And we told almost all of our relatives at those picnics, Memorial Day picnics. And they were like, oh my gosh, it's so exciting, blah, blah, blah. We were like celebrating and having a good time. Well, come Tuesday, I had to go back to work and I nanny some children at their home. And Kevin had to go on a business trip. And I felt good. I had told the people I work for the day before, so they going into work that day, they knew I was pregnant and they were, celebrating with us. And I was playing with the kids, and all of a sudden, I went to the bathroom and I started spotting, but it was not red spotting, and it was very light. So I thought, oh my gosh. I had to do a double look because I couldn't even believe what was happening, because I was 6 weeks to the day that day. And I called my sister, who's a nurse, and I called my doctor, and they're like, let's get you in for ultrasound. But I had to work the next day, and that's the only day they had ultrasounds available. And so I was trying to work out the schedule with the people I work for, and I was trying to not get super anxious about it. And a few hours later, it went from spotting to full-on bleeding. And I knew in that moment what was happening, but I wanted to have a little bit of hope. So I tried to think of any possible reason what could have been the reason for the bleeding. And there was no reason. And so I went home that night. I had a terrible migraine from the drop in my hormones dropped drastically that day. And that's why I had a migraine so bad. And I went home and I slept, and I was sick for 2 days. And I went and got my blood work done that day, Tuesday. And on Wednesday morning, I called the doctor's office and I asked them, what my numbers were. And they were like, it's 185. That's like still a good number for early pregnancy. Maybe you're off on your days or weeks. And I said, no, 2 weeks ago to the day, my numbers came back at 50, and they're supposed to double every 48 hours. So to go from 50 to 185, that shows miscarriage, And I said, and the nurse was like trying to be really hopeful and optimistic for me. And I said, you don't have to say those things. I know I'm miscarrying. I had the miscarriage last month. This is exactly what happened, except where I didn't have spotting. I just went straight into full-on miscarriage. So they ordered more lab work for me to see next week to make sure I fully miscarry, so I don't have to get a D&C. And I had to go get another RhoGAM shot. And I had the same girl who gave me the RhoGAM shot last month, and she was so sad for me. She's like, I just saw you. And it's been so funny because I've had all the same people at the hospital. Like, I had my miscarriage last April. I had to get 2 sets of labs, and then I went back because I found out I was pregnant and we wanted to make sure my labs were doubling, so that's 4 times. And then I had to go back again to see if my labs were falling again. And so they're all like, what's going on with you? And they're all like, you've been in and out of this place for 3 months, 2 months. And I'm like, I know. So they were sad with me, they were happy with me, and now they're sad with me again. And I ended up passing the baby myself on, I believe it was Thursday, and that was really horrific. I wouldn't wish that on my biggest enemy, which I don't have any enemies that I know of, but I wouldn't wish that on anyone. And all the while, Kevin was away on a trip, so this whole experience, I had to go through it alone. And I had a lot of people offering to come over and stay with me, but it was kind of one of those things where you just wanted to continue it alone, and then once Kevin comes home, he'll come home today, we can endure it as a family and move on, because there's not much else to do. What do you do? What do you say? How do you explain it happening twice in a row? Even though the first one was just a chemical, the baby was not anywhere near the stage it was at 6 weeks in development, in the way it looked when I passed it. It's crazy. And I just feel like I've been fooled twice, like really bad. Like I've had 2 really bad tricks played on me, and that's the hardest part I have to get over, is knowing that they weren't tricks, they were nature. But you feel so fooled, you feel so taken, you know, you're just like, God, that really got me. And I saw a beautiful quote that really helped me that said, God didn't give you this gift and take it from you. You made this gift and you gave this gift to God because he needed that angel instead of it being a child. So we don't plan on trying again right away. I need a breather. You know, I've been going through this roller coaster since March, and really I've been going through this roller coaster since October, when we started trying to get me to a point where we could have babies. So, oh, sorry, I've got to gather myself, but that's not something that I can foresee in the future going through again, because I know the chances are the same for each pregnancy, and I know it's just how it happened that I had 2 back-to-back, but I know that if I got pregnant again, I would have so much anxiety and stress during that first trimester, and we were not going to tell anybody next time. I mean, we like learned our lesson for sure, but I think the anxiety and stress would make me feel like I wasn't able to have a healthy start to my pregnancy, and I need to be mentally better, physically better before I can even go into the realm of having another baby. And the first time I had the chemical, everyone said, at least you have Henry, and I was like, eh, but I can't give him a sibling. That's how I felt. And then this miscarriage, now I'm like praising God that I have Henry, because I can't imagine going through this and not having that sweet baby to hold every night. And he's gotten me through it because I've been alone while Kevin's traveling. He's like my little companion, you know. He is so smart and so strong. I'm so proud of him. So I'm so sorry that I cried through half this video. I really am fine. It's just when you talk about it, it brings back all the raw emotions, and you have to think about how it happened again and how let down and disappointed you are. So this is my story, and this is what happened. And to all of my Facebook friends and all of my family members who have been there to support me, thank you so much. It's been so hard, and to have all the support and love and people calling to check up on me that did know what happened, it's meant the world to us, and especially to me. And I hope to give you all good news sometime in the future, but please know it won't be anytime soon. So, or I hope it's not, because I cannot go through this again. I mean, this has like really been horrific, and I just plan on having a fabulous summer with my family and my husband, and enjoying all that God has given us, because we are so blessed. So I hope you all have a fabulous weekend, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks.